Something that I guess a couple of points that I'd mention. Earlier this week, I was at an event where a Republican pollster and a Democrat pollster talked about what they saw in 24 and what they see coming up in 26. The Democrat pollster was particularly interesting in that they said they were certainly interested in Trump low prop voters, like we've been talking about. They also were particularly interested in watching what they were calling Biden skippers, people who voted in 2020 and then did not vote in 2024 and are Democrats. Are those people going to come back to the Democrat Party? And if they do, and Trump low prop voters don't turn out in a midterm, that would be detrimental to us certainly. But I think looking at those Biden skippers and their potential movement could be just as important. To your point, though, Will, I think about many of our traditional outreach tactics, and if we are going to go after young people in student housing, and we're going to go to more urban communities, some of the things like door knocking might be tougher. We oftentimes wind up making live calls at the last minute to people whose doors couldn't be reached. And I wonder if we could be incorporating and thinking about that a little bit earlier. If we're targeting younger voters, we know 25% of them are going to opt out of their texts. So, can we get a voicemail on their phones that's going to pop up and give them a notification so they see and experience the same thing? We worked for a state legislative caucus in a red state last year, and they were trying to get a supermajority, whereas they just had a regular majority. And so we were playing in a place that Trump was clearly popular and was going to win. They had a Republican candidate for governor that was doing well, and so they were playing in districts where I think under a different set of circumstances, they might not have invested and spent their money. These are D plus 8 to 10. And we were doing ID calls where we would just blind ID to center left audiences and saying, are you planning to vote for Harris or Trump in the presidential election? And then we'd say, knowing that Republicans in the state house are going to be voting on these public safety issues and these school choice issues, how likely would you be to split your ticket and vote for a Republican for state house? 40% of the Harris voters said they would vote for a Republican for state house based on those issues. So to me, that brings up the question of, how do we, if Biden splitters do come back and we're working in close races, how do we get people to ticket split and pick as many of our candidates as we possibly can get them to pick? Because our issue set, candidates aside, our issue set is popular.
So that's something we've been working on quite a bit. The One Big Beautiful Bill has a lot of provisions that are quite popular.
Yeah.
And it's voting and messaging directly on segments of the bill,
Yeah.
and then working on results. And that really comes into going back to modeling,
Yeah.
building a model based off some of those specific issues. The no taxes on tip is extremely popular across America. We have groups, some modeling I've seen out in Nevada has been, overwhelmingly Democratic based groups that love that issue. And it's like 70-30. We're probably not going to get 70%.
Yeah.
But that is something we can talk to these people about. And I think that was something that Donald Trump did very successfully last cycle, which was he was able to create fight for an issue that reached groups that Republicans normally didn't reach.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it really comes down to issues and results with that.
Yeah, well, and a lot of key groups that we just talked about are really motivated by these economic issues, this working families tax cut, key provisions in there. So it really benefits Republicans to continue to talk about these issues, but specifically with these coalitions we just talked about, these younger voters, people more in these diverse urban areas, diverse suburbs, these economic issues are really motivators for them, and going to continue to message that out to them.